Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Very good morning to all of you, and in continuation with our previous lectures in this course titled Understanding Gandhi, today we are going to have another chapter called Swadeshi and Sarvodaya, and these two principles are essential to understand Gandhi's political philosophy. And to have already done Satyagraha in one of my previous lectures, you will be able to see how these all principles in a way are correlated to each other, and they also happen to be having a dialogue with each other. So why am I saying that they are essential? So to begin with, these both are coming from the Indian philosophy, and they both constitute the holistic perspective that Gandhi had for life and politics. So for Gandhi, life and politics, these two are not separate from each other, but rather they should be in conversation with each other. And throughout his life, Gandhi's commitment to Khadi became the holistic link between his different concepts, be it Sarvodaya, Swadeshi, Swaraj. For all these, Gandhi was again and again emphasizing that Khadi, or the use of spinning wheel, will be the mechanism through which we can have the upliftment of the masses. So it is about the cause of the masses that Swadeshi and Sarvodaya can be brought together, as in why we need to think of all rather than just a few. And as I had mentioned even yesterday while talking about liberalism and Marxism as two undercurrents, as in how liberalism focuses on the merit as the principle, as to how certain people who are more meritorious in the society are likely to have better upliftment in the society. And in contrast to that, Marxism came up with the view that we need to think of upliftment of all. So in that sense, Gandhism, if we can call something like the Gandhian views as Gandhism as we consider Marxism, then this will also come closer to what kind of thing Marx was saying. But Gandhi's upliftment of all the classes and Marx's kind of, because for Marx it was the economic well-being which was at the core of his philosophy. But for Gandhi, when he says rise of all by his use of Sarvodaya, that is equally about the spiritual upliftment. So it is not merely about economic upliftment, but equally about social well-being and spiritual well-being. So in that sense, I consider Gandhi's concept of Sarvodaya, though it has some proximity with what Marxism meant by, say, communism, but it is also quite different from that. So we'll come to that little later, but prior to that, as I just mentioned, how Khadi will be the connecting link between Swadeshi and Sarvodaya, the way I have designed this lecture. Arjun Appadurai, who is a social thinker, he says that for Gandhi, Khadi was a language of commodity resistance. So when Gandhi came up with this idea of Khadi, it was not merely about a certain way or certain kind of cloth, but the use of spinning wheel to empower the masses, or why they should be using the spinning wheel. So that became the language of commodity resistance, how Appadurai depicts it, that the machine produced clothes should not be the way that people should take up, but rather they should spin for themselves, they should be making clothes for themselves. So Gandhi is saying that this became a way of colonial resistance, how we need to counter the colonial domination, and that in that sense Khadi was at the same time a symbol of imperialistic, how to overcome imperialism. So as Suzanne Bean argues that Khadi as fabric of Indian independence, it was a symbol of India's potential economic self-sufficiency and a medium for communicating to the British. So Susan Bean is saying that Khadi is something which tried to unite the masses. So It no more remained just a cloth, but it became a symbol, it became a national symbol to unite the masses. That's why they need to come together in the name of Khadi. And Susan Bean is also saying that Gandhi could show it to the Britishers that we are not relying upon merely the goods that you are producing in the mills, but we have our own way of living. And he further stressed that this kind of thing we have been living with for a very long time, and we had this tradition of spinning in India for a long time, and we had a community of weavers and spinners. So Gandhi was saying that it is about the common people, the cause of living, how they have been producing such a good, and they are relying upon this for their livelihood. So Khadi will not merely be a cloth, but rather it will be the cause through which the spinners and weavers who are going to get a means of livelihood. So for Gandhi, it was also the way of dignity of poverty. For Gandhi, being poor is not something one should feel ashamed of, because ultimately they also deserve the same kind of dignity as others do. So this dignity of poverty, Gandhi says that in Indian civilization for a long time, people have been living a simple life. So living a simple life is something which should not be seen as if one is poor, or being poor is not something which one should feel ashamed of. So dignity of poverty is something again which relates these two, Swadeshi and Sarvodaya. Coming to now, what I have tried to do is that I will deal with Swadeshi and Sarvodaya one by one, and then later on I will again try to weave these two concepts together. Especially about Swadeshi, Gandhi had differences with Tagore, because Tagore, the term Swadeshi was used prior to Gandhi, because when the Bengal partition took place in 1905, then 1905 onwards there was already this use of term Khadi, sorry, the term Swadeshi was used for that movement. But later on, how Gandhi and Tagore differed on the meaning of Swadeshi, let's just talk about that. So there are certain convergences and divergences between Gandhi and Tagore. Coming to the convergences first, both of them, both Gandhi and Tagore, agreed that we need to have national unity and freedom, and they are spiritual in nature rather than merely political goals. So we should not think that the national unity and freedom, because usually we think of these two as merely political goals, but Gandhi and Tagore both were stressing that they are as spiritual as political. So spiritual and political not to be seen as two separate things, but the part of the same. Similarly, these two people also agreed on another point, which is the need to engage with Indian philosophy, as in why we should not think of merely the political aspect, but we should also engage with the religious and artistic traditions in India. And they both agreed that the kind of, say, the folk music and the ways of painting, etc., the kinds of diversity which is there in Indian tradition, we must engage with those diversities. So these were the two points of convergences, and how these two, Gandhi and Tagore, agreed for Swadeshi as the way of life, as in why we need to rely upon our own tradition. But at the same time, these two were also having certain divergences. For instance, as I just mentioned, that Gandhi was talking about dignity of poverty, or why we should not feel ashamed of being poor. Tagore, having a certain kind of elitistic background, Tagore felt that material well-being is very important, and if one is living the life of a poor, in that sense a person will not be able to be creative enough. So for Tagore, material well-being is something which must be promoted by nation, and he was not of the kind, as Gandhi was saying, that living the life of poor is all right, or as poverty. So as we were discussing about the divergences, that Tagore and Gandhi, they did not agree with each other when it came to poverty, because Gandhi was of the view that poverty is something which should be considered as a virtue, as he himself also chose to live the life of a poor and that simple living kind of thing that he not only preached but he lived by. But Tagore was not of the same view, because Tagore felt that material well-being is something which is essential. Similarly, when it came to the ideas and values, Tagore believed much more in a transnational kind of values, as he had, like for Japanese art, he had high regard, or say for English poetry. In comparison to that, if one would look at Gandhi, he was much more centered to like his biasness, you can say, was much more towards the Indian tradition. So about the art and all, he was not like he never has written anything about the other traditions or why we should be appreciating other traditions. So this is something that we got to see about when it comes to Swadeshi, how Gandhi and Tagore had certain differences as well as convergences. Now coming to the notion of Swadeshi for Gandhi, because Swadeshi for Gandhi is something which is central to his ideas, and Gandhi believed that it is coming from Gita, and Gita has this notion of Swadharma, that each one of us has a dharma on which our deeds should be based. So Gandhi considered Swadeshi as something which is law of laws, means other things, for example Swaraj and Sarvodaya, they all will come through Swadeshi. So how will that happen? For that he begins with human nature, that it is the human nature, each one is made for doing something. However, sometimes Gandhi's views are also misinterpreted when we are talking about each one's dharma. It is not similar to as it comes to the caste thing, that everybody should be performing what one's caste is saying, as we believe in the Varna system. So actually Gandhi also at times, Gandhi's writings has a certain kind of inconsistency, one can say, because Gandhi was not so consistent in his writing. Sometimes he said something else on things like religion and caste, and later he changed his mind. And in fact he himself has written also that you should think, if I have written two things on the same issue, then you should believe in the last thing that I have said, means the thing that I am saying later, because I am a human being and I change my mind, and whatever I am learning every day is also changing my thinking. But sometimes it also becomes difficult to understand, as in how will we look at Gandhi if he is saying two things, so which one is the correct view that he is holding. So again coming back to the notion of Swadharma, Swadharma is something which is mentioned in Gita. So when Krishna was telling Arjun that how he should go by his dharma, because it's he has to fight the problems which are there at that time, or why he needs to fight this war against his loved ones. Now coming to the notion why is Swadharma so central to Swadeshi, he wrote, Swadharma in Gita is interpreted in terms of one's physical environment, which gives the law of Swadeshi. And he quotes from Gita, it is best to die performing one's own duty, or Swadharma. Paradharma or Pardharma or another's duty is fraught with danger. So when you are following somebody else's duty, you should be performing your own duty. That should be your first and foremost goal. And sometimes when you are under pressure or you are pressurized to do something else by others, that becomes the Paradharma. So in that sense, even the British rule is something which in that sense, when British rulers were ruling over India, that is something for for Gandhi is not correct, because then that ways they are trying to pressurize us that what should be our way of polity is guided by the Britishers rather than the Indians. But further Gandhi explains what the Gita says with regard to Swadharma equally applies to Swadeshi also. For Swadeshi is Swadharma applied to one's immediate environment. So Gandhi was insisting that by Swadeshi, what I mean that something which is created by in your neighboring or surrounding, which is to your local surrounding. So one should not be dependent on the things which are being produced in a far off place. For example, in terms of khadi, because Gandhi was saying that we must be producing khadi for ourselves rather than relying upon the clothes which are being manufactured in Britain. Or this thing we can see even in the present context. if we are relying upon the things which are produced in China or certain things which are produced in Japan, so there is a cost of how they are transported from that place to India, and we consider them as cheap goods, and sometimes we think that like these products are better than the products that are produced in India. So for a person like Gandhi, it will be problematic, because we should be relying more upon what we can produce for ourselves rather than relying upon the goods which are produced in a far off land. So in that sense, when it comes to Swadeshi, as Gandhi is saying that we should be relying upon our own neighboring people who are those who are producing the things. So in that sense, Swadeshi is something for in which there is no space for selfishness or hatred. So when you are guided by the spirit of Swadeshi, then you are supposed to have a love kind of feeling for those who are producing those things for you. So you are supposed to be thankful to those who are producing the things for you. So Gandhi considers, since for Gandhi altruism is something so close to his heart, that is, you should be doing good to others and you should not be self-centric. Similarly, about the universal service, that what you are doing to yourself, if you are being good to yourself, so you should be for others as well. So this kind of notion is something which will be guiding Swadeshi for Gandhi. Now coming to the dimensions of Swadeshi, there will be like these are the different dimensions of Swadeshi that has been discussed by Gandhi, and we do not find a coherent idea in his any particular writing where he has talked about these dimensions. So now I'll talk about these 6 issues. First and foremost, like first I'll talk about 3 dimensions, which are economic dimension, social dimension and political dimension, and later on I will talk about 3 areas of life, that is education, religion and health. Why we need to think about Swadeshi in all these different spheres of life, and how are they going to affect us in our day-to-day life. So to begin with, and one can also see that there is an overlap also. One cannot just say that his economic dimension is quite different from social dimension or political dimension, because as we have been saying even in the previous lectures, that for Gandhi all these were having a kind of conversation with each other. The social was equally political, political was equally economic. So these are the things that we need to keep in mind, but still I have tried to mention certain points which will give you a better understanding of the topic. So what is economic dimension of Swadeshi? First and foremost, it will be about use and production of khadi, that the use of spinning wheel by the people, the large number of people should be using the spinning wheel, and that's how the production of khadi will lead to a large number of people will be getting jobs through that. So that is something Gandhi is stressing. Similarly, the goods should be produced locally. So locally produced goods should be promoted. It could be handicrafts, it could be the small scale industries. So overall it was the decentralization as a model which Gandhi was in great favor of. It's something that is to be seen in economic dimension. So for Gandhi, obviously economic dimension also meant that let the villages be the root. I mean, the villages should be the mainstay of the society, and this kinds of production is something which will give work to the larger number of people, because then they will be getting jobs in small scale industries. And we must remember, as Gandhi had written in his book Hindu Swaraj while he was criticizing modern civilization, that what has happened is that earlier we had production by masses, and now we have moved on to the mass production. So these are the 2 things that he differentiated between, and he wanted us to make sense of, that these 2 are not same, production by the masses and mass production. Because in mass production you are doing it with the help of technology, you are using machinery, and on the other hand you are also making many jobless. So suppose a work which was to be done by 10 people is now being done by merely 1 machine. So in that sense those 10 people become jobless. So for Gandhi that kind of thing will be problematic and why we should not be using such kind of model. And on the other hand, the production by masses would mean the largest number of people to get jobs. So be it agriculture, because agriculture is something which gave jobs to the largest number of people. Similarly, this handicraft industries, etc., were something that Gandhi was much in favor of. Now coming to the social dimension, because as I said, the social dimension is the other second dimension of Swadeshi. Gandhi had given a long list of constructive programs, and through which he meant that we need to regenerate the values in society. And how will we do that? We need to do many things in the name of constructive programs. So we have to get rid of problems like, say, untouchability, because that he considered it's so deeply entrenched in Indian society, and we cannot make a better society if we will keep practicing untouchability. Similarly, he felt that alcoholism is a big problem, because when men drink, then they happen to beat their wives. So he linked this issue of alcoholism with the issue of domestic violence. So for Gandhi, alcoholism is also problematic, and the women can never be empowered if they do not get their due respect in the family. So these were the things that Gandhi stressed upon, that a society must reflect that the people who are living in it are having a certain moral, you can say, code of conduct. So this is something which we must remember, that for Swadeshi to be practiced in its social domain, it would mean that the society must be a better place to live. So there should be no untouchability, no alcoholism, then only we can claim to have a good society. Coming to the political dimension, obviously national independence is something which would be an essential condition, that we must get rid of the British rule which is there in India. And I mean, whatever is to be done, because Gandhi took many satyagrahas in his lifetime, be it non-cooperation, be it civil disobedience, they all were meant to get rid of the British rule in India, and why we need to have our own rule, why the Indians should be ruling India. So that would also mean Swadeshi, means our own country to be ruled by our own people. And even when we get independence, and here also it is very important to remember, Gandhi was not in favor of creating another Britain in shape of, like, in the name of India. So for Gandhi, merely getting independence will not be enough, or to have similar institutions as parliament or political parties. So Gandhi emphasized that even when we get independence, then we must focus upon decentralization, and that's how we will be able to have our true political empowerment, or when the people are able to rule themselves. So decentralization will be the effective way through which the administration should happen. Now coming to Swadeshi in education, because Gandhi was not merely a social and political philosopher, but rather his views are significant, be it in the area of education or health, religion. These were the in a way we consider these things as something which is part of our day-to-day life, but for Gandhi they also remained significant to be taken care of. So what did he mean by Swadeshi in education? For him, education should not be merely about that one should become capable of earning a living, that you can earn well for yourself, or you have a comfortable material life, is not something which is enough for Gandhi. And Gandhi was emphasizing that one must learn how to cook, one should also know how to cut hair. So for Gandhi, all these things which are to be done in day-to-day life are as important as we think of earning the livelihood. So overall development of personality, why we need to understand that one's personality is made of these things which you need to do in your day-to-day life. And from this point only, it's linked with another point, which is Gandhi's notion of respect for manual labor. Gandhi considered that all the works which are done in the society, if one is a sweeper or a barber or lawyer or doctor, we should not create a kind of hierarchy that a doctor or a lawyer is somebody who is superior than the people who are barber and sweeper. So Gandhi was saying that manual labor is something which we must respect, and we must be given training of such kind that we consider all these works equally. So equal respect for all the works is something which should be ingrained in the education system. Similarly, he would also say that it is the mother tongue which one must learn. So what had happened is that in the due course of time, people in India started considering English itself as a language being superior than their own mother tongue. It could be Hindi, it could be Gujarati, it could be Bengali. So Gandhi was of the view a child must be trained in the mother tongue first and foremost, because that way only one can have the holistic development of one's personality. Secondly, Gandhi also understood that education is not something which comes merely through acquiring certain degrees, that you become a graduate or you become a postgraduate. That is not enough for Gandhi, and Gandhi considered that it happens to be a lifelong practice. So one tends to keep learning throughout one's life. For example, Gandhi himself has written that he should not be remembered as a lawyer or as a politician, but rather he considered himself a spinner, a weaver, and and also a farmer, because he said that I have learnt these things at a later stage of my life, and I am so proud of this that I have learnt these things. And similarly, he also stressed that everyone in the society must aim at learning new things, learning new ways of doing things. And thus Gandhi of the view that merely literacy should not be considered as education, because literacy is just the basic kinds of understanding of knowing how to write or how to read, and education is much more than that, because ultimately education will improve one's personality overall. Now coming to Swadeshi in religion, what did he mean by Swadeshi in religion? Again, this comes to the notion of Swadharma, that each one should be performing one's duty. But what is one's duty? When it came to religion, Gandhi was of the view that each religion had certain defects. We should not think that the religions are perfectly all right, and he understood that the flaws that are there in the religions are to be reformed by the people who are practicing those religions. So for instance, if there is this problem of untouchability in the caste system as practiced in the Hindu religion, Gandhi himself kept fighting against untouchability throughout his life. Though that's a different thing, that he is not given due credit for doing that, but we must understand that for him untouchability remained a problem, and he tried to overcome that. So he was of the view that irrespective of which religion you are born in, you must have equal respect for all the religions, which in terms of Gandhi is called Sarvadharma Samabhav, means equal respect for all the religions. And secondly, it is about reforming one's religion. If there are certain problems in your religion, you get to know about that, and then in whatever possible way you can try to get rid of, you must try to do that. Now coming to the last topic, last issue in this line, that is Swadeshi in health, Gandhi was of the view that we must rely upon our age-old practices, or whatever we have been practicing for a long time. So a person like Gandhi would be in favor of Ayurveda or say vegetarian food, and there are many stories of this kind in which Gandhi has written about. For example, many of us will be knowing that Gandhi used to take the milk of goat, because somebody, or maybe he got to know about it, that is good for health. Or he used to take the leaves of neem ke patte, he used to use for like a kind of paste made by the neem leaves. He used to eat that. His acquiring this vegetarianism as a practice, because that was something which his mother had asked him to practice when he was going to Britain, but later he also read a text on why one should practice vegetarianism, and then he felt that he would stick to vegetarianism throughout his life, and considered vegetarianism as a better way of life than because that also went with his practicing non-violence, because when you eat any meat or beef kind of thing, then it comes by killing those animals. So that went against Gandhi's principle of non-violence. So that was something which Gandhi was much in favor of vegetarianism. One more and the last thing in this line, Gandhi rejected the modern medical system. And as I had mentioned in my previous lecture also, his that anecdote about going to a doctor, and if a doctor gives you a medicine for indigestion and you become used to of those medicines. For example, even in present times, I think many of us must be knowing the people who are having problems like diabetes and blood pressure. This kind of something is like every second person is having those kinds of diseases, and many of them are even considered as lifestyle diseases, because we are living sedentary life. We are not doing enough manual work that we should be doing. Manual labor we are not performing, we are not walking enough, we are not performing the tasks which we should be doing by using our own hands. So that's why these things like obesity is happening. Most of like many of us are overweight, and these all are leading to many problems. So for a person like Gandhi, and in fact Gandhi as a person was so particular about his food, his health, etc. He did not rely upon modern medical system, and he found the modern medical system quite flawed, because this excessive reliance upon medicines, or they claiming this that they have a cure to everything, it makes one become so lazy about the things that okay, if one falls sick, one can always have a medicine. So that kind of thing will not be okay for Gandhi. So for Gandhi, as the overall, if we look at his view on Swadeshi, we get to understand that for Gandhi, life, politics, society, economy, they all were having a conversation with each other, and they were not parts, but they were containing a certain whole. Now we will move on to the practice of Swadeshi for Gandhi. How did he practice Swadeshi? So particularly one issue is that Buy Indian campaign, which had come up in Bengal, as I had mentioned earlier, that the idea of Swadeshi had become so popular during 1905 to 1911 in Bengal, in which people had burnt the clothes made in Britain. So that was one thing, and and the second thing that began after this was Buy Indian products. So this was one way of practicing Swadeshi, and the second aspect of Swadeshi was to have respect for your own practices. It could be traditions, it could be languages, it could be forms of life. So that was second way of practicing Swadeshi. So one was to stop using the products which are made outside India, that was one, and second, to respect the things which are Indian in nature. Now, how was Swadeshi to be practiced? So Gandhi would say that it is to be practiced at three levels, that is at the individual level, also at the level of village, and then at the level of nation. These three levels are also again coming back to the point of how like in one sense it is about units of the society, and also they can be seen in totality. So it was after 1915 when Gandhi tried to give a new meaning to Swadeshi, when he started pushing this cause of Khadi. So he tried to define Swadeshi as the spirit in us which restricts us to the use and service of our immediate surroundings to the exclusion of the more remote. So again, as I had mentioned in the earlier part of the lecture, that Gandhi was emphasizing that why one must use the products which are produced locally, and we should not rely upon the things which are produced at a far off place. So this gave Swadeshi a kind of, Swadeshi became the spirit for Gandhi, the spirit through which people should live their lives. So while the term Swadeshi was already being used in India prior to Gandhi coming to the scene, but the term Swadeshi acquired a new meaning when Gandhi gave leadership to the Indian national movement. So Swadeshi politics in Gandhian faith should be seen as like how he started promoting the cause of Khadi, and Khadi as the way of life as well as Khadi as a symbol to fight against the imperialism. Now coming to the Sarvodaya, because Swadeshi we have covered quite a great deal, and now coming to Sarvodaya. Sarvodaya for Gandhi is again having different sources, not one but many, but primarily I would like to mention three of them: Ruskin's book Unto This Last, then Tolstoy's book The Kingdom of God is Within You, and Thoreau's Civil Disobedience, as well as Bhagavad Gita. As we said that Gita had influence even on his view of Swadeshi, similarly even when it comes to Sarvodaya, because Sarvodaya is about the betterment of one and all in the society. It does not differentiate between that betterment of just some people in the society will lead to a good in the society, but rather it talks about Sarvodaya is equally a spiritual activity, it is a political activity. And after Gandhi, Vinoba Bhave also tried to, he also used the concept and he interpreted its twofold meaning. Firstly, he says that it means making all happy by removing suffering and poverty with the help of scientific knowledge. Now see, for Vinoba Bhave, the scientific knowledge, the point he is adding and making everyone happy. So Sarvodaya is about upliftment of all, making everyone happy about their being. And secondly, it aims at establishing a world state full of divinity, kindness and equality. So these are the values, like if you look at these terms more carefully, divinity, kindness and equality, they are quite different from the values which we talk about in liberalism and Marxism, because they will talk about formal equality or say economic equality, but here you are talking about the spiritual well-being of the people, that the people should feel that they are happy about their own existence. So the notion of bliss, the notion of kindness, why people should be cooperating with each other. So I feel that Gandhian philosophy as well as the practices of Gandhian philosophy could make a society a much better place to live than merely like the kinds of values that are ingrained in liberalism and Marxism. I have particularly tried to give emphasis on, because Unto This Last was the book which influenced Gandhi so deeply, and especially when it comes to the notion of Sarvodaya, because Gandhi read this book Unto This Last in 1904 for the first time in South Africa, when he was gifted this book by his friend called Sir Henry Pollock, and later Gandhi translated this text in Gujarati in 1908 and he titled it as Sarvodaya, the well-being of all. Now this book remained so close to Gandhi throughout his life, and in his autobiography also later Gandhi wrote that it took him merely 24 hours in the train to finish writing this book. So he completed reading this book in one go, and he also said that this book transformed his life and he decided to live his life on the basis of the ideals given in this book. To quote him, I determined to change my life in accordance with the ideals of the book. So it makes a great difference to Gandhi's personality, and especially the three basic principles mentioned in this book. I would like to read them. First, the good of the individual is contained in the good of all. So we should not differentiate between one and all, because Gandhi, as he read in this book, that one individual and all the individuals in the society, the goodness of all is contained in one. So one in all and all in one. This is something Gandhi is talking about that he learned from this book. Second is that a lawyer's work has the same value as the barber's, and in as much all have the same right of earning their livelihood from their work. So as we mentioned even while discussing Swadeshi, that his respect for manual labor and why each work should be given equal respect, that if somebody is a barber or another is a lawyer, the work that they are doing, their occupation, should be given equal respect. And third, it is a life of labor, that is life of the tiller of the soil and the handicraftsman is life worth living. So the third point again is about the dignity of labor itself. So if somebody is a tiller, if somebody is a handicraftsman, whatever that person is doing is much more meaningful for Gandhi than merely acquiring certain degrees. And towards the end, Gandhi mentions that the first point out of these three, Gandhi was knowing a bit, but the second and third came to him as a learning from this book, and he decided to change his life and he tried to live his life by these values, and then these became the premise of Sarvodaya for Gandhi. Now, what are the principles of Sarvodaya? There are numerous principles of Sarvodaya, but I would like to mention 11 principles which Gandhi has used at places here and there. So, first and foremost, there is no centralized authority and there is political and economic atmosphere in the villages. So, the villages should not have any centralized authority, as we had discussed earlier also, that decentralization is the key. So, Gandhi will be emphasizing that in Sarvodaya there is the possibility of people ruling themselves. Similarly, Gandhi was not much in favor of Rajniti, but rather he would have talked about something called Lokniti, that it should be the policies should be made by the people, keeping the welfare of the people in mind. So, what we consider as Rajniti, the politics in which the politicians make the rules and regulations for the common beings, rather it should be other way round. Let the people make their own rules and regulations, how they want to live. Coming to the third point, that all the people should be bound by the spirit of love, fraternity, truth, non-violence. So, these all are should be the basis, rather than as we usually think of a society in which people are selfish or they are competitive, there is jealous, there is envy. So, for Gandhi, that would create a society where people are always suspecting each other, or if somebody is rich, the poor person is thinking, oh, this person is living a better life. So, that kind of thing would not lead to Sarvodaya. So, in Sarvodaya there should be no party system, because Gandhi was much in favor of a partyless kind of a politics, and even the majority rule will be problematic, because that may lead to tyranny of the majority. So, that is also something which would not lead to Sarvodaya. So, rather what will Sarvodaya be? Sarvodaya society will be socialist in nature in its true sense, where all are having the similar kind of moral, social and economic values, and people have this capacity of, say, they can nurture their values or their personality in the best possible way. They can be creative in their respective ways. So, the Sarvodaya society would be based on equality and liberty, and when there will be no space for competition or exploitation, and thus no class hatred will be possible. Coming to some more points which are there as in the principles of Sarvodaya. Sarvodaya stands for the progress of the all. So, all the individuals should be doing the individual labor, and that should be based on the ideal of non-possession. So, it should not be the case that some people will have a complete control upon the means of production, because that is the biggest flaw with capitalist system. In capitalism, it is the capitalist class which starts controlling the means of production. And on the other hand, even though the Marxism came in response to the problems of capitalism, Gandhi felt that even Marxism doesn't go far, because in Marxism you just say that now instead of capitalist class, it will be the state itself who will be the owner. Now, for Gandhi, that's why both these systems are problematic, and Gandhi would rather say that it should be based on non-possession. Why nobody should have a control upon, say, means of production or the way a society operates. So, what should be the goal? The goal should be such where whatever work each one is doing, it should be based on their needs. So everyone should be given what one's need is. The need may vary from person to person, and thus it should not be forced that what one has to do or one does not have to do. Similarly, this idea of non-possession also leads to another idea that there should be no private property, because the moment you create private property, it leads to a kind of exploitation, because some become rich, others become poor, and that will again lead to the rich is likely to exploit the poor, and thus again here also there will be no possibility of Sarvodaya. So now coming to the if Sarvodaya itself is an ideal and it is also considered as a movement, because this is a movement based on truth and non-violence. So Gandhi was much in favor of Sarvodaya to become a sincere and bold attempt to make the society a coherent whole, where individuals could have a better relationship with each other, and the atmosphere will be such which will be based on welfare of all rather than welfare of few. Now in the case of Sarvodaya, there is a possibility that it will not be about the material well-being of the people will not be so high. So one may argue, or you can say one may counter argue the idea of Sarvodaya, that people will not be so benefited because the actual gain of each human being may be lesser. But Gandhi will argue that though each one is gaining little less, but overall if you look at the society, the overall gain in the society is much more. So we should not consider Sarvodaya as something where everybody got just a little bit, but rather we should look at the overall gain of the society, where the society has achieved much more. So it is the collective whole on which Gandhi is stressing in Sarvodaya, rather than merely an individual or a group of few. Now coming to Sarvodaya in practice, how did Gandhi start the practice of Sarvodaya? And it is interesting to know that he had founded 2 ashrams in South Africa, and later on in his lifetime 2 more ashrams he established in India later. But here we will talk about those 2 in South Africa first. That first was the Phoenix settlement in 1904, and later on another was Tolstoy farm in Johannesburg in 1910. And while establishing these ashrams, the idea was to do the things based on manual labor. So in these ashrams there was nothing like a hierarchy of work or certain people doing certain things, but each one was supposed to learn, say, farming, cooking, cleaning the clothes, or washing the clothes, cleaning the utensils. Everything was to be done by everyone. So that was like in a way a kind of social experiment that Gandhi was trying to do, and that became the backbone of his idea of Sarvodaya, why each one should be. And then ashram was also about nobody was supposed to have a private property over there. It had to be in a commons kinds of approach, so the collective ownership of the means which was there, and each one to have a minimum possible acquisition, the number of clothes that a person will have or the number of footwears a person will have. These are the things which were to be in a way regulated. And similarly about the concept of bread labor, that each one must earn one's bread through the manual labor that one will do. So these are the things Gandhi started experimenting from South Africa, and later when he came to India, Sabarmati ashram is he established first, and later in 1930s he established the Wardha ashram. So 2 ashrams in South Africa and later 2 ashrams in India should be seen as his experiments in the light of Sarvodaya. Coming to the next point in Sarvodaya, that his list of constructive programs of those 19 items were also meant for Sarvodaya. The overall development of the people, it's something Gandhi was looking for. So Gandhi was aiming at a vision of society which will be free of any kind of exploitation, and be it based on caste, class or religion. So similarly this kind of thing was also being practiced when he established those ashrams. because in those ashrams people were living there together irrespective of their caste and religion. There was no foundation of such kind. Or Gandhi used to have those Sarvadharma Prarthana Sabhas, where he used to take up prayers from different religions. So these were the ways how Gandhi was practicing Sarvodaya in his lifetime. So it aimed at creating a self-sufficient village society which will be based on the principles of decentralization, simplicity and cooperation. So the things that Gandhi was, as we discussed in Swadeshi, we find an overlap even in Sarvodaya. So Swadeshi and Sarvodaya are to be seen in a link, as in how these two are to be practiced together. Now coming to the last part of the paper, what is the contemporary relevance of these two ideas, or why are we learning about these two after more than 100 years of Gandhi's experiment with these concepts? So I want to argue that these two concepts are very important even today, because the problems that Indian society is facing even in present times is from poverty to communalism, the similar problems which Gandhi faced at that time. Even the present Indian society is facing those problems. So probably these ways, Swadeshi and Sarvodaya, can actually show us a way to overcome those problems. And after Gandhi, many other thinkers also experimented with these ideas. For example, I already mentioned about Vinoba Bhave in the prior part of the paper. So Vinoba Bhave and also Kaka Kalelkar as well as J.C. Kumarappa, these are the people who believed in the spirit of Sarvodaya, because all these people said that the well-being of few will not make a good society. So we have to aim at well-being of all. So these are the ways that we got to understand that Sarvodaya, which is about the spirit of well-being of all, is something. And then these people are also tracing the roots from the Indian tradition, that the upliftment of all was something which is so central to the Indian society. Although it has also been, Gandhi's views are often criticized for his views on caste, but right now we will focus merely on the idea of Sarvodaya. Even JP, whom we call Jayaprakash Narayan, he also believed in the spirit of Sarvodaya, and when he gave the call for Sampurna Kranti in 1970s, then he was actually aiming at this notion of Sarvodaya, that upliftment of all. And why did JP start this movement? Because he was not happy with the way 2 decades right after independence, the way Congress was ruling India, and the kinds of problems which were there in Indian society. So to overcome the problems like poverty, etc., JP gave a call for Sampurna Kranti, that we need to radicalize the society. People should be ready to fight with this kinds of politics which the way Congress is ruling is not enough. So that in 1970s again the Sampurna Kranti became one way of ensuring Sarvodaya. And even JP and others have talked about this notion of Lokniti and Rajniti. So JP also said that what Congress has been doing is more of Rajniti, means the state making the laws and rules for the larger number of people, and rather the need of the hour is to have Lokniti, that there should be people friendly policies rather than those state centric policies, or merely aiming at development of the country. So in the more recent times also we see that there are numerous developments which give a call for Swadeshi. For example, Baba Ramdev's product of Patanjali, and he's been calling it a kind of Swadeshi, and these products are of they are of wide range, and it's about the day to day life, whatever we need, from the food grains to the oil and everything. And he is stressing that why we should not be paying say twice or thrice to the kinds of products which the multinational companies are selling us at high prices, so we should be using these products which are made in India. So this is one thing that I wanted to tell you about towards the end, that even in recent times or even in present times, the concept of Swadeshi is still relevant and being used. Similarly, Modi, the Prime Minister Modi, he has given a call for Make in India. What is Make in India campaign for Modi? He is suggesting that people should be manufacturing in India. So the Indians should be manufacturing the goods here in India. So I felt that that can also be seen in the line of what Gandhi meant by Swadeshi. Similarly, Modi's another call for say Swachh Bharat Abhiyan and why we should be committed to the notion of cleanliness. This also is closer to the idea of Sarvodaya, that upliftment of all, or why we should have a society, we should have the society which is based on cleanliness, or the society, the significance of hygiene in the society. These are the things that Modi is stressing. Similarly, his idea of Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas, what does he mean? It seems to be something quite close to Gandhi's view of Sarvodaya, because upliftment of all, or the well-being of all. So I felt that even this notion Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas can be seen as a spirit of Sarvodaya, which is closer to Gandhi in his lifetime. And we should not forget that Modi has been stressing so much on the views that Gandhi held, because be it sanitation or even the view of untouchability, Gandhi at 150, it's something which is very nearby. Modi is trying to revive many of those ideas and views which Gandhi held, and he is trying to make the Gandhian ideas so relevant even in present times. So be it all these we just talked about, from Make in India to Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, they all seem to be in a way talking about what Gandhi meant by. And also his Namami Gange Pariyojana, that we must clean the river Ganga. However, Modi has also been criticized as in why is he focusing only on Ganga, because ultimately even other rivers are of equal importance. But we can always think of these things in the line of the politics of development that we are going through. So maybe he is targeting one river, and the civil society organizations are trying to pressurize Modi that he should be equally talking about other rivers. So these are the things that I wanted to tell, and towards the end, just the point that I want to make is that Swadeshi and Sarvodaya, as Gandhi mentioned in his lifetime, these two principles should be seen as Gandhi suggested how we should be living our life. So these are also those words from Gandhi, how a person should be living a life full of morality, and also why we should be dependent upon the goods which are produced in our local nearby areas rather than producing outside. So Swadeshi and Sarvodaya, these two concepts should be seen as having a kind of conversation with each other, and thus, as I mentioned, that even in present times we have not been able to get solution of many of the problems which were there at that time. Probably these ideas could be of great help. Thank you.